Before sharing my journey of facing human wrongs and what I've learned and unlearned, I should give some context to what you are seeing. For this course, I've gone back to teachings from my first school, my family, particularly my grandmother and mother, who you see working with me in my grandma's garden. You'll also notice the subtitles and my use of popular phrases in Spanish. I have chosen to use these since they are one of the many ways I was taught. Throughout this course, I kept coming back to them and my informal schooling, so it seemed fitting to share them with you. Even though her life was full of hardships, one of my grandma's biggest regrets is only being able to attend the first grade. Hearing her describe herself as ignorant always felt wrong. Modernity had told me that her self-description was correct, but how could somebody that knew so much about so many things, somebody that thrives in a world that profited from her circumstances, be unknowledgeable? That wrongness was always in my head and body, and thus began my denials. Dualistic thinking has been the source of a lot of trouble for me. Somebody is to blame for the bad in the world, the suffering my grandma experienced. Somebody built this house of modernity. The bad people did this. This kind of thinking was very reassuring for my worldview as a racialized woman. I wasn't one of the bad people, meaning I could place myself as an innocent bystander or a victim of the system. I didn't build the house, so how could I be responsible for its horrors? I may not have built the house, but I benefit from it. Its existence ensures I enjoy a stable life, dependent on the suffering of those on lower levels and outside of the house. The colonial violence that underwrites the system had been one of the causes of my grandma's and many others' suffering. She is among the few who found the ladder to climb the levels of the house, ensuring certain comforts for her family. Yet we're all still in a crumbling house. At one point in my journey, I wondered if the drive that many have for upward mobility was so wrong. I now realize that the purpose of that question is to alleviate the guilt from my position inside the house and to avoid the reality that it comes at the expense of human and non-human beings. Thus came my first revelation. Tanto peca el que mata la vaca como el que le agarra la pata. This unlearning led me to a different denial, the denial of ecological unsustainability. The upkeep of the house relies on the exploitation of resources. Many of us tend to view non-human beings, even human beings, in terms of how they might benefit us. The saying goes that al nopal solo se le arriman cuando tiene tunas. That's the view many of us constructed of our world. How can X, Y, Z be useful to me? I would argue that the denial of unsustainability is one of the easier ones to superficially appease. By following the 5 R's to what we consider the best of our ability, we're doing our part. We buy reusable water bottles, install solar panels in our homes, use hybrid or electric cars, and invest in carbon neutral or negative businesses. We see the results of ecological exploitation and separate ourselves from our complicity in the current situation. But no se puede chiflar y comer pinole al mismo tiempo. By refusing to relate unsustainability to our failures to connect to desires, entitlements, and how we relate to each other, we land in a space that is more emotionally comfortable. With separability at its core, we step into a box where duality thrives. We are part of the solution, not the problem that others created. For me, it was easy to believe that we were a discovery or invention away from saving our lifestyles. If I supported the right enterprises and was a responsible consumer, I was in the clear, right? This is the part of my journey where the connections became clearer. The house of modernity thrives on separability. We create shit and then go over to the rainbow to seek solace from the consequences of our actions and inactions, instead of using the strength the rainbow gives us to face our pile of shit and start the process of composting it. Acknowledging the entanglements of our lives and the place where we are currently standing is a daunting task. It means coming to terms with the reality that we can't mamar y dar de topes. Starting to see the depth of the entanglements leads to facing another denial, the denial of the magnitude of the global challenges. For this to happen, I started coming to terms with how I dealt with challenges. When faced with injustice, violence, destruction, and all the other consequences of the house of modernity, my approach to them was very much symptomatic. See a problem, trying to find a fast solution. This allowed me to avoid the interconnectedness of the problems, their causes, and my role in them. Trying to solve the symptoms seemed achievable. This approach is more comfortable because we get to be the heroes without facing the impossibility of the task and our complicity in creating and sustaining the system. Denying the magnitude of the challenges became a defense mechanism against a reality that is almost incomprehensible and the grief of seeing the results of our actions. But by refusing to deep dive into the magnitude of the challenges, we limit our ability to try to build something new, something different, something potentially better. It allows us to be comforted at the expense of continued suffering, including our own. During this journey, I realized something about the denials and why it's so easy to fall into them. There are secondary benefits to denying. Facing our contributions to the house means accepting our complicity and coming to terms that we are neither innocent bystanders nor victims, and since no hay borracho que trague lumbre, denial becomes a more comfortable alternative. We don't want to stop denying because it means realizing we're not as good as we think we are, but we can no longer benefit from our willing ignorance. At the beginning of the course, I often found myself defending my actions in the hope of minimizing my guilt, but explicación no pedida, culpa manifiesta. Coming up with reasons why I was a good person was holding me back from truly engaging with the learning and unlearning experience. It also became apparent that letting guilt and recrimination take over would not allow me to keep exploring new paths. So, where does that leave me? Walking a tightrope with no apparent end between desperate hope and reckless hopelessness. I'm still working on finding and keeping that balance so that ni tanto que queme al santo, ni tan poquito que no lo alumbre. I'm well aware that this journey is not new to many. No estoy descubriendo el hilo negro. But it has impacted me deeply. I'm moving forward with the knowledge that it is a lifelong journey, that I will probably fall off the tightrope, and with the uncertainty that I'm not sure what the destination is, even if there is one. Yet I'm also taking the responsibility to keep working within myself and my community to try to move beyond the house. If andando la carreta se acomodan las calabazas, there's not much left than to keep failing forward. After all, the calabazas won't fall into place if we don't move the carreta. We can't expect to go beyond reform by remaining still, stuck in a comfortable reality. It's scary because we're not quite sure where we're going, but the refusal to face the unknown and the known can't stop us. We acknowledge fear as a passenger in our carreta, but we don't let it lead. That's where you find me at, acknowledging my fear and guilt and looking for ways to keep going. I'm thankful for all the human and non-human beings that have joined and helped me in my learning and unlearning. With the knowledge that this isn't a linear journey, I look forward to moving towards new mistakes.